Time o'clock. All right. Welcome to today's class. It's been the third week of our 3-week project management professional. My name is James Faniyi, and I'm welcoming you to class today. So we have gone so far with the knowledge areas, and today we are to train on project communication management. I'm waiting to see if we can have more people to join us before we start. Okay. Mr. Maruf, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying through with the class. So we may not have to wait for others, so they will join us when we begin. So today is project communication management. The last class we discussed project risk management. It is very important that we stay true to learn all the 10 knowledge areas because they are intertwined, they are interwoven. Being good in project integration management also requires that you have the skill in project scope management, the schedule management, the cost, the quality, the risk. And now we are to discuss project communication management. Communication is everything. Communication is very important in project execution. Without proper channel of communication or without proper flow of communication, a lot of things in projects can actually go wrong. And that's why it's important. The PMI, Project Management Institutes, uh, really did a very good job in developing this area, that's this knowledge area of project management. And that's what we are going to do today. So please, let's give a very good, uninterrupted attention to our trainer today as we begin the training. So let us start the training.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you today to another wonderful knowledge area in our project management series, and that is uh, project communication management. So, what is project communication? You will see that, in fact, you know, most of the people that you can, point at as good project managers today, many of them really fumble, in this aspect of project management. Many people, many fantastic leaders, people that are actually great, they have the technical knowledge of the project. They know how to, they know how to manage or dwell on the project budget. They can manage the scope, and all that. When you see most of these people, you would see, in fact, out of 10, maybe 7, that may actually what lack, knowledge area of project communication management. And that is why it's very important for us to dwell so much on this and, take it bit by bit, like we are doing WBS in this class, so that we can have a full knowledge of it. So let's take the introduction. So project communication management is crucial. It is important, like I've said, and it is the knowledge area that helps us to ensure that all stakeholders are kept informed. We want to inform them about the project progress. We want to get them informed about the project issues that you may be facing, on the project. We want to keep them informed about what changes that you may have to implement on the project. Maybe if you have the change request from the project owner, definitely you have to communicate to the stakeholders. They have to know that there's a change request on the project, maybe on the initial requirements, or something has to be done to the scope. You want to either reduce the scope or increase the scope. So in as much any changes is coming on the project, you need to communicate this to the stakeholders. Okay, so it's project communication management helps us to effectively facilitate decision making, and it helps us with what effective collaboration. So you can see that it is a very important knowledge area. Sometimes you may really be good at what you are doing, but when people around you do not understand what you are doing, then it becomes a problem. I have worked in various industries, and I can tell you that communication is as vital as the skill that get you the job. So what I mean is that the technical skill that gets you the job, it is not even much more important than the communication skills. In fact, when you have a good skill and your communication is poor, you may be, misunderstood. Okay? There are people that might not really know much, but because they are good at communicating, the little that they know, they can communicate it very well. It makes the society to respect them. There are people who know so much, but they cannot actually impart it. They can't communicate it. They can't explain it to people. Okay, they will only make terrible effort to actually get themselves expressed, but they couldn't really pass what they can't. There are many people out there who may be so much more better than myself as a project management facilitator. In fact, they may know so much, but because they are not really good at communicating it, they can't pass the knowledge. They don't know how to explain, complex, principle or complex, knowledge, how to break it down to people in a simple time. Then it becomes a problem. And to a large extent, if not that they're actually using the knowledge, for gain or anything whatsoever, the knowledge becomes almost useless. They just have it. They can't pass it on. They can't train people. Was in this class in the course of our project management series when I was talking about a company approaching our company to hire a trainer. They got a contract for a training that they have never handled before. In fact, they have been handling the training, but the portfolios of people they want to train, they have not handled such portfolio before. So they have to seek for an external trainer. And then they contacted our company, and I had to go and represent the company, to join them on the training. So what did they do? They used me to train their own trainer. Because in the course of the training, please moderators, because in the course of the training, they made sure that their trainer was with me 24/7. And that was the first and the last time they ever actually reach out to us to get a trainer. What does that mean? It does not mean that they are not getting such a contract again. But they have used, an external trainer to train their own trainer. And it actually became so easy for that to occur because I must have passed the knowledge in a simplified way that even if the trainer is smart enough, there are a lot of things that you might have learned, maybe skills or the presentation, the way I introduce the training, okay, and everything, break everything down, even down to the illustration. I've seen people that copy, training, even with the illustration that the former trainer actually copy everything. In fact, on our training platform, we discovered that there are a lot of, company, who actually were rivalry company to our company that, they just have their representative there. They are just there, to come and learn. Really wanted to see how these guys are doing it and getting results. So many of them are just there to learn. So if the communication is complex, if we are not communicating the knowledge in a way that people actually understand, it might really be, difficult for them also to tap into some of the things that they may need to make their own training also work better. So what are we saying in essence? Anybody that is terrible at communication, might not really be a successful project manager, because communication is key and vital. It's like the driving force. Communication skill or management is what will give you that team building, that team spirit, that collaboration, that oneness, that unity that you need for all hands to be on deck for your project success. Communication is what will make everybody to be carried along, for everybody to know that, okay, this is what we are doing today, this is what we will do tomorrow, this is what is ongoing, this is what we are facing as challenges, and these are the ways that we want to go about it. When you see leaders that, that restrict knowledge to themselves, they are the ones that know the problem. They are the only ones that know the solution. That kind of person cannot be a project manager. It is not possible. Because the project team would actually be in dark. The project owner would be in dark. The project stakeholders would not even know what is going on. So it becomes a very big problem. There is nothing like surprises in project work management. You don't try it. Oh, I just want to surprise them. They need to know what is going on. What if you have completed the training without briefing them on the progress of you have completed the project rather, without briefing them on the progress of the project, and then you say, boom, surprise, surprise, and then when you unveil what you have done so far, they begin to actually bring a lot of thoughts out. The rubbish is, why will you do this way? Why will you do that way? Let me take us back to, for many of us who actually wrote, big projects back then in university, maybe for your first degree or for your master program or PhD. All right. You don't just complete your project before you go and meet your supervisor. Supervising your project, starts from day one of, you actually agreeing on the topic and getting approval of such a topic from your project supervisor. There are many people who were actually back then, I could say that they were brilliant students, exceptional students, they were geniuses. But because they lack the skill of communication, the bridge in the communication between them and their project supervisor actually landed them in a very big trouble. Because they were not actually carrying the supervisor along. So some supervisors are so diligent that they will tell you, chapter 1, go and do it. When you bring the chapter 1 back, they will have to correct it until they certify that okay, yes, we are good with chapter 1, and then they will say, go and do chapter 2. That is agile project management. And that's the best way to manage a project where you have a lot of uncertainties. A project where you cannot actually foresee all the risks and many other things that could actually emerge or surface in the course of carrying out the project. Then you need to carry, people that needed to be carried along, you need to carry them along. You need to let them know the progress, the steps that you are taking, the challenges that you are facing, and your plans in resolving them. So it becomes so pertinent for such a student to say, oh, I'm done with chapter 1. Okay, the brother will say, go ahead for chapter 2. That is exactly the kind of examples that we can actually use perfectly for how it works between the project manager and the stakeholders. It needs to be carried along. Even when you may not actually there are some, you call project owner, when the phase actually complete or when you complete a milestone, just for them to come and look at it, be present when you do the testing and for them to approve it. But that is even different from stakeholders. There are stakeholders that you must actually decide, are you going to be communicating to them, is it every day or every week? So we are going to look at all this. But I must give it that kind of robust introduction for us to actually know that it is a very big deal to project success. Project communication management is a big deal. It is a tool, it is a skill, it is a knowledge area that you must take very serious if you want to be a successful project manager. So, briefly, I will come back to this diagram. Project communication management. So it gives us the collection of processes. We want to look at processes that will help us, okay, pass the right messages. What are those processes that will help us to pass the right messages? For us to be sure that what we send the right messages, that these messages are well received and understood by the right people. So if I must analyze that, sending the right messages for you to send it, for it to be what? Received by the right person at the right time. Okay, so this is what we can actually what break the definition down to. So project communication management is, a collection of processes that will guide us in sending the right messages, okay, ensuring that it is received by the right people at the right time. That's exactly what we want to discuss. And then, we have three major processes that guide project communication management. So in this diagram, you will see the three of them being analyzed. So we have creating a project communication plan, managing the communication process, and then monitoring the communication. So the three of them are highlighted. Plan communication management, the first process, manage communications, and then we monitor the communication. These are the three processes that guide project communication management. So project managers, number one thing for you as a project manager is that you must be able to highlight or outline how you will manage communication across the project. That is what planning communication, process is actually addressing. You must have a robust plan, okay, on how you are going to pass, communication, or how you are going to manage communications, during your project. You must have a plan for it. It is not something that you do without what planning for. It is not something that you do like a form of emergency. It is something that you need to actually make necessary plan for. How will I be sending messages across? What would be the mode of communication in the course of carrying out this project? So let's look at steps that will guide you as a project manager when you are making plans for project communication. What are the things that will actually guide you, the steps that you should take when making the plan? So the first one is that you need to decide your objectives. What is the purpose of your communication? What is the purpose? Is it just to update the stakeholders? Is it to give instructions to the project team members? Is it for you to get reports from all the supervisors that may be under you? Is it that you want to communicate to those who are contractors? What will be the purpose? You need to first decide the objectives of your communication. What is the purpose? Do I need to use some tools? Okay. Or do I just want to be learning about what the project status? Either communicating it to the stakeholders or allowing my project team members to actually communicate to me. So it might be that you need the sponsor to authorize spending in the course of the project. How will you communicate that? If that is the purpose, then you already know the objective. The objective of this communication is for me to actually send an approval for the project supervisor to release the funds maybe for the next phase of the project. So you already know this is the objective of this particular communication. You need to actually know the objective. Those communications that deal with what project team members, those communications that deal with what status reports, those communications that deals with what financial updates, those communications that deals with what budgeting, those communications that deals with what risk management, those communications that deal with the status or the performance of all the project team members. So you need to state all these objectives. What are the objectives of my communication? You need to understand the various objectives of your communication. If there will be need for you to be updating the stakeholders, that is an objective. If there will be need for you to be having a one-on-one conversation with your project team members so that they can always brief you on what they are facing in their particular unit, that is what an objective. If there will be a financial communication, that is another objective. So you must actually decide your objective. It is very important. Then the next thing is for you to determine your audience. It is very dangerous for you not to understand your audience or know your audience. Determine the audience. When I'm communicating in the course of this project, okay, I'm going to be communicating with the stakeholders. But who are these stakeholders? You need to know them. No stakeholders, I repeat, must be left out in the course of project, update. No stakeholder should be in that on particular things that you are doing. Sometimes it happens that, some project manager, they will just, they have this particular loyalty maybe to a particular stakeholder. Maybe they like the way, or the person is just so immersed in is showing interest in the project success and everything, and you feel like you are so close to the person. So sometimes you may have that tendency for you to be, so close to that particular person. But it is very important that you know that project status, what is needed to go to all stakeholders, must be communicated to all stakeholders. It will be very, very wrong for other stakeholders to be getting reports about about the project from another stakeholder, whereas all of them are supposed to get that information. And because you are close to one, you have hinted him, and because that one really wants to show that, yes, I'm actually on the top of this project, then you release the information to them. This is practical, and it happens in organization a lot. Then it becomes a problem because the information is supposed to be gotten from you. How come that this information has gotten to a particular stakeholder, and then it's not the one feeding the rest of them? So as a project manager, you begin to have problems when that occurs. Okay, so you should be able to exhaust the list of everyone involved. Exhaust that list. Ensure that you get down to understanding. If you have 10 stakeholders, then you must actually know all of them. You must enlist them. It is very, very important. So you must know your audience. Okay, you must know your team members. You must know the project sponsors. You must know the project customers and every other interested party in the project. You must know all of them. You know, it's funny sometimes when you see, sometimes when we go out to, to train, maybe schools and all that, you have some teachers. Sometimes when you want to test them, you say, okay, how many students do you have in your class? They say, oh, I have 20 students. Can you mention their names? And you see that the teacher begin to struggle. He doesn't know the names of all the students in his class. And in the ethics of the profession, that is actually wrong. Every student needs to be addressed by their name. So it is very important that even when you are new in that particular class, the first thing first, like the assignment, is for you to actually get yourself familiarized with everyone and know their name. Find the tricks on how you get their names. So as a project manager, there shouldn't be any members of your team that you don't really have on the list. You must actually have their list. You must know them by their name. It's very, very important. And it takes a very thorough training for you to know that, yes, you have to get yourself familiarized with them, at least to the extent that you must know. Because sometimes if you are dealing with portfolio management or you are dealing with program management, that may be so large that the only people that will be reporting, to you might be the supervisor of those things. But there has to be an avenue that will make you to get yourself familiarized with what every member of your team. It is very, very important. Then the next step is for you to now write your message. There are messages that they are actually pre-planned messages. You receive those messages sometimes when you register on the website. You see, oh, thank you for your registration. We have received your application and we blah, 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 programmed down. There are messages that you can actually have been programmed down. Many people that use our business WhatsApp also do that. When you message the person, you say, thank you for contacting so. We are not available now, but so those are the kind of things we are talking about. So you can write your messages. What will the message be for each type of communication? How? You should know that the format of your message to your project team members, you may not be able to address your stakeholders like that. The way you will address the stakeholders, you will not be able to address the project sponsor like that. Even if the message are not precise, you must actually have what the format of how your messages will be. It makes things easy a lot. It helps you, it saves you from trouble. I've been in an environment before where a compare wanted to introduce a guest, and he didn't call the title very well, and that was it. He didn't call the titles. That was just the problem. Not that he really disrespected the guest, but because he didn't really follow the title. There are some people that before you reach their name, okay, only their titles, your mouth is already paining you. But honestly speaking, they have worked for it. If somebody said that this is how I prefer to be introduced, then you have to actually do it. When you have a stakeholder, maybe one of your stakeholders is a prof, and then you already know. That is why you need to understand the kind of people that you have on board. Here, Professor, so. The project, blah, 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 phase has been, moved down to Toro. So due to this, due to that, these challenges, we may not be able to commence so today, but this will be done unfailingly tomorrow. This is the report to update you, sir. And then perhaps you already know that anytime I want to do this kind of person, if I want to update him, this is how my message. So it makes it so easy for you when you know how the message will actually look like. It's different from your project members or supervisors that are under you. Kindly report what you have. Your message might be as brief as that. Kindly report the status of your activities for the day. You don't need story. I'm still going to get to that. And that may be your the format that anytime you want to request for the report, that is what they always see that will pop up. So you should be able to determine what the message will look like. So either you write the message or you already get what the format on how the message will look like. Then you choose your channel. What mode, what channel will I be using for my communication? How will the message be delivered? Is it a formal report that I'm making, or is just quite what an informal report? For example, your message to those who are project members or project supervisors might be quite informal. But when you're addressing, just like the example that I gave about having somebody of a particular status as a stakeholder, who you know might actually get offended if it's not properly what addressed, then you know that what that is that quite formal. You go straight to the point. Nothing concerns you with their stakeholder. How was your day? How is your family? I hope you are fine. Please, I just want to tell you that is almost like nonsense. If what you need, how you need to communicate with that stakeholder it has to be what formal. Then you have to what understand how your formal report or your formal message to actually look like. Going straight to the point. Dear Professor so, kindly note that we have completed so phase today, and so phase will commence tomorrow. Thank you. That might be, very, very brief, straightforward. Nothing like, you have a good night rest, have this, or exchange of pleasantries or anything or whatsoever. I'm not saying that there may not be some stakeholders who you may actually have some informal, perhaps depend on how you relate with them. There are some of them, there are stakeholders that, when you are updating them, maybe they are the type that you can see physically. You as a project manager they may offer you seats, offer you a drink for you to brief them. This is the office that I remember when I was working on the board of a particular NGO. So we are actually helping to put together their board of trustees. And these board of trustees are, higher profile that we need to go and be meeting them, in their offices or any address or any, appointment that they give us. So sometimes when you go there, yes, you are just coming to brief them about the status, how the registration is going and everything, but they can just tell you first, oh, I'm busy, please see, what do you care for? They call their secretary to get to a drink, and then you sit down there. When they are done, they come over. They also may be, having, some drinks while you guys discuss. If some stakeholders are like that, of course, fine. All the focus is for you to have a good relationship with your stakeholders and for you to communicate to them effectively. But you should know, how the message will be delivered. And that's when we come back to this email. Is it via meetings? What is the medium? What is the channel? Is it via meetings that you will pass some of these messages? Is it via email? Okay. Is it via project management software? There are project management softwares that are used for communication. Example is Trello. On Trello, even without saying a word, I can monitor what I can see what they have done. I can see what is actually awaiting them to be done. So even without reaching out to them, when I log into the project, management software, I can view a lot of things that is going on. It's only when I'm not okay with something that I'm seeing that I may now call them to order. Maybe I'm telling them that, oh, you guys are too slow on this thing. You're supposed to have done the other. But all the reports that I need, I may actually view it. They are the project management software. So there are some, communication you have to pass down through this channel. You need to know. Is it survey? Am I using what? Survey. Okay. As my channel of some of these communications. Some of these communications will it be through brainstorming, especially when you are dealing with your project team members. I explained this in the course of project risk management. Brainstorming could actually what happen, when you call all your project team members or those key ones that you really need around for you to discuss a particular problem and collectively discuss it and suggest what possible solutions. And there are some of them that will be written, maybe some written documents, some written, notes as a mode of what? Communication. Am I using social media to actually what? Send down what? Or to pass, information about this particular project? It is very important. It's possible. Take for instance, of course, YouTube is a social media. Right now, part of our own outline mode of communicating this training to the participants, YouTube is one of it. And that is why we are live streaming this training. So you should know that, okay, fine, do I really want to also what? Is that, am I using social media for, as a medium of my communication in the course of the project? Discussion board. I explained in the course of the risk management technique, while we talk about what? Depth analysis. That is when you have experts, coming together. It's a form of brainstorming. Experts coming together to discuss what issues, okay, to discuss risk and what bring out what some viable and useful what solutions, either to mitigate it, either for you to transfer it, or either for you to avoid it. So discussion board can also what be used. Okay. When you also enter from some project management, let me say project management meeting hall, there are some display that you may see, maybe on some boards. There are some boards that are also used for, I'm not talking about boards like human now, like a board of people now. I'm talking about boards like a placard, that you can see. We have the Kanban board. Kanban board can actually be used. How do we use Kanban board? For those people that were with us when I was actually explaining WBS during the project scope management, we actually analyzed this and I brought up many of the examples of how Kanban board actually looks like. In Kanban board, it helps for us to know, okay, what to be done. That's to-do list. Just a board, okay? And there are some softwares that also have this. Example of such software is Trello. Trello has, this Kanban board, application of this Kanban board is in Trello that you can use. So you have the to-do list, doing, and done. So you will see all these sticky paper, various sticky paper being plastered here with the what? The stories of what to be done. So you have them. These things are being taken from WBS. Things that, each unit of the work that you need to actually what? Do. So they are being put on the what to do list. So what the project team members will do is that they can take like 3, okay, if they can be done concurrently or together, they can take like 3 out of what these to-do list. It will be under what the doing. So they work on it. Any one of them they have completed, if they have tested, it has been what approved by the project owner, they bring it to what done. So anybody that enter into this hall without asking questions, looking at this board, you will understand what is going on. Oh, you can see the things that what they have on their to-do list. You can see that what, oh, as they are running up and down, this is what they are working on. And then you can see the things that they have achieved as part of the success. So these are also boards, physical boards that are being used as a mode of communication. You have Gantt chart. Gantt chart can be used for you to know, what are we doing when, the dependent activities. Which activities must we do before we actually will do these particular activities? And after starting these activities, how soon can we begin this? We explain all these. I display the Gantt chart, in under project schedule management also, we discuss it, showing how Gantt chart actually allow you for you to see, activities that are what interdependent, that are dependent on what on each other, seeing the time frame of what the activities, knowing the start of this and when this will end. So it helps that when you just visualize this, looking at this visually helps you to actually get a whole lot of information that even if you are being sat down by the project manager and being explained to 24/7, it might really be cumbersome for you to actually grab the whole knowledge at once. But merely looking at Gantt chart, you can get a whole lot of information about the status of the project. So you need to understand all these channels. Which of them do you want to adopt? Which are these channels? Even if it's 5 of them that you are using, you must decide it. You must plan it from the beginning of the project for you to know the medium. We can't, at this hour, the running enter scatter and be saying, oh, should we use YouTube to actually pass on this training? Should we use it? It has been pre-planned that this is the channel that will be used, and that is what we are talking about. What channel of communication during your project will you be making use of? You have to pre-plan. Will there be presentation like what I'm doing? There are some organizations, in fact, I have someone who works in in a particular company that have their headquarters, at the eastern part of Nigeria. So the person works in Lagos. And then the company is so fond of, anytime you want to, in fact, it might be just a 1-hour report. They will tell all their staff that want to give that report, all their management staff, to say they should travel down. Okay? When Nigeria was still, strong with, security then, they used to travel by road. I used to tell the person, this is not fair. They want you to travel down to that kind of far distance and then you travel by road and everything. Later on, for you to know how serious they are with physical reports. They want to see you so that they can fire you questions and everything. That's in fact, what you are going to report there might just be 1 hour. I was telling the person, this is waste of resources. So before you know it, they started booking flights for them because of the state of security challenge. You book flights for a very good number of staff just for them to come and do a presentation, and then you still house them, you still treat them, just for them to come and do a 30-minute presentation. There are some of them you may not even be able to ask them any question when they are done. They have to give them a round of applause. Why not doing a virtual presentation? The world has gone. You need to embrace the technology. Why not make them sit in the office, bring up their slides, give you the report, turn on their video, you see their faces, you ask them questions. Why not do that? But should I tell you what? Right now, because of the case of inflation and all that. Okay, you know how much it is to book flights to Abuja now. They have now resorted towards virtual, and that was what I've been saying. When the person told me that, oh, their next report is coming up, and then they said it will be virtual, I said, hey, so they have learned their lesson. So they have seen how deep this was actually was eating into their workforce and into their profits. So as a project manager also, because some of the PMI questions that you will see, you know, maybe even on stakeholders, you will see some questions that have to do with, you know, what happens when you have your stakeholders scattered abroad. You have a stakeholder in China, you have another one in India, you have another one in US. They are in different countries, and they are stakeholders on the project that you're actually doing. Are you not going to carry them along? Are you not going to report the status of the project? What if you set up a particular time for all of them and say, oh, this is the time that I'm going to do presentation, and like 3 of them said that they are not going to be available for it? Are you going to say, oh, go to hell? That means that you will miss the report. You won't do that. You must be able to explore other mediums, okay, of communication. There are a lot of things I'm already explaining. Okay, we'll still encounter them. Okay, so that is what you do in planning, and then you set a timeline. You may have the correct message or a good report. You may have a very, calculated mode of communication, but if your report is not timely, then it becomes a very big problem. Nobody wants information that are already obsolete. They are already dead news before they arrive. A news I've had already is a dead news. A news that is coming, that if it has come yesterday, that's when I could have done something with it. But now you are not telling me today of what use is it. The damage on the project has been done. It was not later on you were communicating to the stakeholders. Of what use is your communication when the damage has been done? But if you have communicated what prior to the time of problem, perhaps some of the stakeholders might have brought up some suggestions. Those among them that have connections might have actually assisted to actually rescue the situation for you as a project manager. So you must set time frame to your report or your communication. My stakeholders, do I want to be communicating to them and be giving them status or progressive report of the project weekly? Is it weekly or is it monthly? I want to be reporting to them, depending on the kind of project that you're handling. Depending on the choice of your stakeholders, what they also want, how they want to be approached, the availability, the medium they prefer for the communication. So you must be able to decide the time frame of your communication. Your project team members, how often you want them to be giving you the status report of the activities you have placed under them. Is it daily? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? So all these things must be pre-planned. Take note of that emphasis. Pre-planned. You must have it pre-planned that this is how this and that would actually go. So it is very, very important. So your project communication management plan to be detailed enough to lay out why you are sending a message, who you are sending it to, what specific information will be sent, and how you are going to send it and when. So you see the question that you're answering. So you are actually deciding during the plan to know why, who, what, how, and when. All these, I'm still going to actually talk about them. They are the 5 whys, okay, of communication. Why, who, what, how, and when. So during the project communication plan, you must be able to decide this as a project manager. Then, how do I manage my project communication? Managing it. Don't forget that what you have actually done in the first process is to make plans. You have not executed anything. You have not done anything. You have just made the plan down. You can have a beautiful plan, but if the plan is not well managed, then it becomes a problem. What happens, even if you have planned that what your report will be weekly, what happens if you fail to actually send that report on a weekly basis? Your plan is already useless because you have defaulted on the plan that you have made. What happens if you make a mistake in sending a wrong message to a wrong person? And yet you have made a beautiful plan, but you fail to actually follow the plan. Then your plan becomes useless. And that is why this process is very important when you get to actually manage the project communication. Okay? So after you have made the plan, okay, after you have created it, and after you have actually presented this, because the stakeholders must be briefed about your project communication plan. After it has been approved, that okay, fine, they are okay with the weekly report, as you have said. How do you want to be communicating with us? You have given them every plan that you have on what communication. It's a very serious business. And then the next thing for you as a project manager is for you to ensure that you carry out those plans that you have made successfully. You must strictly actually follow the plan that you have made successfully. So as a project manager, your focus in this process is for you to, to be straight with the execution of the project communication plan that you have made, as I've emphasized. And some of these things are actually highlighted. You must focus on the collection and the analysis of data. It is very important. You must have the right data. You must have them being collected all together. You must be sure that, yes, you have made plans that your messages, for communication will be created. Ensure this is the process where you now create those messages. You have decided that they will be format. You have decided on their format. But in management of the communication now, this is where you now create those messages. This is where you actually send those messages as you have planned to be sending them. This is where you have documentation of all your reports, all the files, and all the official documents that may actually affect or that may have something to do with the project. This is the process where you get all those things in order. Any stored communication that you may have to recall, this is where you actually work on retrieving them. Any old communication that you may have to dispose, this is where you actually carry them out. So, summarily, the process, manage communication, is where you actually carry out the plans that you have made for the communication. And then the third one, you need to monitor your project communication. Why do you have to monitor it? There is in fact, you have taken note of all the knowledge area that we have discussed. There is no knowledge area that does not have monitoring and control. Because you need to monitor, even if you have assumed that you have made plans, and now you are carrying it out, you need to look at how effective they are. Are they really effective? You have decided that your report will be weekly. The weekly report you have been giving, are they really effective? That is when you review, you monitor it. You really be sure that, yes, they are actually giving me the results that I actually expect, or the results that are planned to actually have. This is where you have to monitor if your communication actually went as planned. This is where you have to actually check if they were what received by the proper stakeholders. Do you have the right people actually what getting the information, or you have been sending this information to wrong people? When you check the way we communicate our certification, anytime your certificate has been delivered to you, you will have an attached information that tells you to please check your inbox or the attached document for your what certificate. That is an alert that comes to you, because we really want to be sure that what we have sent actually gets to the right people. And then we further open a channel where you can give a feedback, and open feedback. I still saw some of it today, where people will be saying, oh, I received the certification. It's just an acknowledgement, a form of acknowledgement. As a stakeholder, you may also what decide during your planning, your communication planning, if you will be needing, acknowledgement of any report being sent. Perhaps maybe you are sending some reports via email or anything. If you would need acknowledgement from stakeholders or anyone that may actually receive your information, you need to have it was stated and discussed and agreed on. You need to check here if the messages you have been sending are actually what well understood, or there have been some misunderstanding along the way. That may actually what force you to go and check how you have been structuring your messages. If your messages are misleading, if every time there is a particular stakeholder that anytime you update him, you always get it wrong, then you may have to go and review that kind of report format. This is where you actually tweet every relevant feedback that must actually be given to you. And there are some calls for actions in the feedback that you are getting, either from stakeholders or anything whatsoever. Because don't forget that communication is never complete without feedback. So there may be feedback, either they tell you okay, either they tell you well done, either they tell you right done, either they tell you, oh, this, that. There must actually be, a complete communication. And that is after you have sent the information, they have received it, they have decoded it, meaning that they well understand it, and then they give you feedback. It is very, very important. So your communication monitoring, entails being sure that your execution of your project communication plan is actually giving you the required result on the project. Now let's get to a more practical aspect of this right now. We have treated the 3 processes, and then we want to go into some more details about the project communication management. So if you have been with me till now, please let me see you give thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Who are those with me? Abubakar, okay, Yusuf. Okay, Omolola is with us, all right. That's great. That's Mojib. Okay, Anachi, all right, okay. Thank you so much, thank you. Thank you so much for being on board. So let's look at how to be successful at project communication management. And that's it. How to be successful, at project communication management. Because it is very important. You must know that excellent communication is key to, leadership success. Excellent communication, I repeat, nothing less. Excellent communication is key to an effective leadership. You can be a fantastic leader with great qualities. If you cannot effectively communicate with those people that you lead, then you may have a lot of problems. In fact, when you look at it, in many cases, poor communication is actually one of the main reasons the project can actually fail. And I've repeated it several times, in the course of this class. Poor communication and make your project actually what fail. But if you don't get what the right word signal, when you look at the art of war, okay, you see how at a war front, the way soldiers actually communicate. Sometimes you don't know if your enemies are actually laying ambush. You don't really want to shout. You don't want to talk. They have, an excellent way of communicating. When they raise two fingers, they know what it means. When they raise one finger, they know what it means. When they whistle, you know what it means. When you see the firework being shot to the sky, it has what is a code of communication. So all these things you need to really understand it as a leader, and you should be able to you must ensure that your project team members also understand you. They get what information so clear. Your stakeholders will get what clear information anytime you use any of the medium that you have chosen. So we want to look at how you can be successful at project communication management. So let's look at it. The first thing that you need as a skill as a project manager is strong, active listening skills. A lot of leaders struggle with it. Strong, active listening skills will make you to actually have, a huge success at project communication management. Great leaders are those people that listen, pay attention, get everybody's view. Do not preempt what people might really want to say. There is always, especially when you look at people of different temperaments, those, let's even look at those that are, people that they love to talk and talk and talk and talk. And then I have some people that when they are talking, no matter what you say in between, they are not hearing you. When they are talking, I have someone like that. Okay? When they are talking, and they are talking to you, what you are saying in between, maybe you are saying, oh my God, really? You mean it? So the person, maybe you just wanted to ask a question in between that they just needed to pause and respond to. No, they are still talking because they have programmed everything they want to say, and until they land, they won't be able to listen to anything. And it's not really that they actually heard you and refused to answer you. They did not even hear. It's that when they are talking, their ears are shut. At a point, as a leader too, I have to be very conscious of this aspect. Personally, I have to be very conscious of this aspect. I'm actually explaining. You as a leader need to actually develop, an active listening skill. It is very important. People really want to talk. Your project team members want to give you feedback. When people see that you don't listen, even when they have things that may actually affect the project, they may not be free to communicate it to you. If you are judgmental, or you always, thwart people's opinions, and you believe that your opinion supersedes everybody's opinion. Even when people see that the project is actually going towards the peak, they know that you will not listen. So they may not be able to approach you to tell you that, this is what I heard. So one of the things that will make you a successful, project manager at project communication management is for you to be an active listener. Proficient in writing skills. It is very, very important. If you don't have that, it is an ability for you to actually develop. You need to be able to write in a way that people will not misunderstand, and you will write in a way that you'll be able to channel down what you are trying to communicate. Be selective in the usage of words, in your composure, in your construction of sentences, in the way you put words together. They are very important. They will make you a huge success when it comes to project communication management. Excellent speaking ability. This is another thing. You know, some people, when you look at it, a project manager looks like a complete human being. In fact, when you look at it, a project manager does so much. He does so much that, so, and that's why it's not just easy for you to just open your mouth and say you're a project manager. If you know what it means to be a project manager, then you will know that it, because I tell a lot of people, I see a lot of people who have even passed PMI examination. They are certified PMI project management practitioners, and they are woeful at project execution. I question them a lot. Perhaps many of them just cram the process and the principles and they just study, the format. By the time we start treating, PMI past questions, because we are going into that session, once we are done with our project management knowledge areas, there are some softwares that we are bringing up, for training. And then for those who really want to write PMI examinations, okay, I don't know, it depends on the moderator and those that are in that unit in the company. Either that session is going to be attended freely or is a paid session or anything. But we are going to have a session where we have learned. Now we can treat questions. We should be able to fire, down any of the PMI questions, because we have a lot of reference. We have gone through everything in our training. So you should have a good writing skill. Be able to, when you are writing reports, your report should be, if not 100%, it should be above 90% in being okay. There are some stakeholders that will rubbish you. They will circle, ring all your wrong grammar, things that are not clear in your communication, in your writing. They will circle it, ring it, and send it back to you. And you should prepare the reports. When you begin to have that problem as a project manager, then you'll be frustrated. Person will tell you that I don't understand this, please put it right. So you should have a good writing skill. You should have an excellent speaking ability. You should learn it. You can learn it. Some people will say, oh, I don't like it. No, it's not about talking too much. It is a self-training practice. Okay? Do you know how many fantastic public speakers today who, for many years have, stood in front of their standing mirror, for them to actually speak to their mirror, speak to themselves. They will talk and record it. They will check themselves. How did I do here? They will record their own voice, listening to their voice. Is it audible? And all that. Before they could actually have that high self-esteem when it comes to what addressing people. So a project manager must actually have a good speaking ability. I cannot overemphasize that. Asking questions and probing for more information. You must have that skill on how to actually ask people questions. You must have the skill of, sometimes you can bring your project team members for brainstorming, and none of them is talking. Then you have to create some questions that can make them talk as a project manager. You know the information you are looking for. You know what you are expecting from them. Then you create questions around it so that these people can actually voice out. They can talk. So a project manager must have that skill in order to be a successful person at project communication management. Setting and managing expectations. Do you have expectations? All these are part of the things we have talked about. Your scope, your schedule. So if you don't have time frame to all the activities, you do not have an expectation. What do you expect to achieve today? Okay, what are the goals you have set for the project team members to actually work on today? And then, because that is what you are going to communicate to them. Because they have to be clear about the information. I'm still going to actually mention that in the course of the class. Motivating people to become and stay engaged. a project manager must have a skill, that, good skill on how to communicate motivation to the project team members. That when you are done talking to them, these people will literally go back to work with a renewed energy, as if you have drugged them, as if you have given them some sort of injection, some sort of energy drinks for them to go back to work. You must find a way, to talk to your, when you look at some football coaches, even when the players are about to die on the pitch, on the field, there are some coach that, the way they talk to their team, they are even the source of energy for their team. There was one funny clips of kickboxing, they call it kickboxing or wrestling. It's a female. It's actually the female category, and then in that clip was a Nigerian lady, wrestling with another lady from another country, and then the voice underneath was actually the voice of our coach. The coach was communicating to her in Yoruba. And when you look at that clip, you will know that, honestly speaking, the energy of that lady was actually the voice of our coach. If you want to actually finish her, take that coach away from that, vicinity where she's fighting. Her morale will be low and down. Even the coach, because I saw it like a sort of, to me, honestly, it was just like an open cheating, but maybe it's not the rule of the game. Because she was given the command and the lady was following it. People that may actually understand Yoruba. Not like that. And the lady did the same thing. And that's how she injured, incapacitated the opponent. So, as a project manager, you get to a particular unit, you see that they are tired, they are confused, they don't know what to do. You say, oh, what are you guys doing? You guys are doing fine, you are doing okay, you are almost done. So why are you not like this? You are almost done. You're very occasional now. And don't worry, we'll soon be done. You guys just let's get to work. Your project was team members. There are skills that you need to learn and practice. Is it conflict resolution skills? Because there will be, fights, among the project team members. And it is still this same mouth you will use to talk. There are people that do not know how to actually resolve what conflict. In fact, it is better that they do not even mediate in it, because when they come in, they will aggravate those that are actually angry, the angry party. They will aggravate the anger. They will it's just like putting petrol in an already burning fire. That's the way they actually mediate in so it's better that they don't even come in. A project manager should not be such like that. So you must have the ability to summarize and recap what you have said or what you have heard. So as a project manager, you're going to see that skill. I'm going to mention it. One of the skills that make you to actually have clarity on information is for you to, after the information, briefly summarize what you have heard. And the other party that communicates that particular thing to you will now, either say, yes, exactly, that's what I mean. It shows that what you have gotten the information clearly. But when somebody just pour everything down, and then you say, okay, I understood. How are you sure that you actually understood exactly what he wanted you to understand? How are you sure? If you do not recap what he has said, okay, like what you have said right now is that we should be marking register every time we come. Is that what you have been saying so far? And the person say, yes, exactly. The person may be the kind of, a talkative person that will first, say a lot of stories, a lot of this and that, use illustrations, cite examples and everything, just for them to drive home their point. But you can summarize what he has said within 2 lines and say, okay, is that what you mean by everything that you have said? You say, yes, you have gotten the information. And that's why you see the modern minutes of meeting documentation these days. In those days, when you see the secretary of meetings, they used to write everything. Mr. So raised up his hand and made this suggestion, and Mr. So now say objection, and the chairman now said they will write so many things that even when they are reading the minutes in the next meeting day, everybody is confused. But right now, the modern way is that in fact, minutes are prepared in a tabular form these days. You only just write the name, what the person suggested, resolution, the people are saying, whoever make a motion and object the motion and everything, you don't care. It's just for you to itemize the key things that actually emanate from the meeting. Who said what? Did everybody agree on it? What was the cause of action? Who is attached to take that action? That's all. Story and everything, has been. So if you see people who actually updated in knowledge, you see them. That is how they document things. So that when you look at it at a glance, you can say, you can summarize everything that happened in the last meeting. Okay. So I believe for you to summarize or recap what you have heard, reasons why communication fails, or what to do about it, you must be able to troubleshoot why, as the communication actually failed. And that will be the root cause analysis for you to analyze why. Okay. And you must note that you should never leave a meeting unsure of what to do next. You must have a course of action. When you are leaving a particular meeting, you must have a course of action on what you are to do next. So the next thing for us to actually discuss is for us to actually look at some other things that also affect, the success of project communication management. The first one we will discuss is when there is too much talking. We're not talking about being talkative in this case, okay? What we're actually talking about is you not being straightforward as much as possible. Not really being, straightforward. You can get people confused. Like the previous illustration I made, you just wanted to tell us to always mark register anytime we come to work. And then you talk for like 30 minutes about that. To the extent that you did not even summarize, you didn't even mention that word, mark register. Everything you have just said was on illustration. If somebody did this on a particular day, and Akin also reported so. And when you are done, people are actually confused. If there will be anything whatsoever, it should be an illustration, dissecting a complex situation for a better understanding. There are people that do not know how to talk, in phase. They talk out of point. So when you have people like this, on project, it might not really be the project manager, it might be during the brainstorming moment. A meeting or brainstorming that should not last more than 1 hour. You have some people that when they stand up and they say they want to talk, that they can carry everybody even 2 hours, they have not stopped. If the person moderating the meeting, which might actually be the project manager, did not actually time them on, I'm giving you just 2 minutes for you to actually talk. They can talk out of context. That's what we are talking about. So talking too much is you talking out of context, or you not being straightforward. So this can actually affect the project communication success, or the effectiveness of project communication. So what also happens when the information or the message is too fragmented? Okay, what do you mean by this? Sometimes you have so much, information, that are not really being put together. They are scattered. They are spread across. You have some little of those information via email. You have some of those information via YouTube. You have some of those information via Facebook. Another person is sending information via WhatsApp and all that. They are not collated together. You do not have them as a whole. They are just scattered. They are in pieces. They are in units. This may actually what makes you to be ineffective when it comes to what harmonizing such what communication, when they are not what actually being what put together. Okay, when you are receiving too much through various or too much of what different what medium, then you can become what confused on what to do, or the kind of feedback to give to those what communication. So what do we kind of prescribe for this? What are the things that you need to do to avoid this kind of what situation? So you need to invest in remote team communication teams that allow you to funnel all communication relevant to a specific project into a single accessible location. So it is very important. Make use of some communication tools that will allow you, to have, a particular information that affects a particular aspect of project, all of them being actually what accessible in a single what accessible location. For example, most people that have been sending feedback to us, okay, they know that they use the what WhatsApp platform for the particular what training. There was something that happened in our previous training. We gave somebody wanted to submit the assessment, and the person was submitting assessment for, let me give you an example, maybe a leadership training. The person was submitting the assessment on leadership training on another training platform. So I saw one of the admin immediately corrected the person. Please let your assessment be sent to the right channel, because you don't expect us to go through, how many channels that we have for our trainings. And then we have this training is being done right now. And then for us to look for all the assessment, we have to check all our channels so that we know who submitted here, who submitted there, and everything. That is not possible. That's what we are talking about. But if we need the assessment for this particular training we are doing, we know where to go. Everyone attending training know where to actually drop their assessment feedback. If there will be a review about the training, you know where to drop it. We know where to go and read it. You can't drop review about project risk management on the platform of what? Project scope management. That would not be effective. In fact, you may even drop it there and nobody reads it, because project scope management has been done. So you should find a way that your communication will not be scattered. If there's a particular unit, if you are talking about, maybe the members, your project team reports, you can get them a channel. Are they using WhatsApp platform? Is that what they are using for them to give reports? Let them stick to it in a way that not that you are expecting reports. It did not drop on WhatsApp, but you don't know whether they have sent it to mail. I don't know whether they have inboxed it. I don't know whether, because you have various channels. So you become disturbed to check all these channels to be sure I've just sent it or they have not sent it. But if you have adopted just WhatsApp platform for that particular purpose, you know that if it is not on the WhatsApp, it means that it has not been dropped. That's what we are talking about. I hope I'm able to actually channel that down. What happens when there is an ulterior motive, especially during the meeting? Maybe you have someone, okay, among your, project team member. So when they are talking, you are able to actually see that what they are saying is not really for the project benefits. It is actually for their own personal benefits. That also can affect communication. Okay, it can it can actually what lead to what conflicts. Okay, it can actually what affect collaboration, because especially even as a project manager, when you talk and the project team actually see that what you are saying as a project manager, they can hear you and actually have the feeling that, or you may even be transparent for them to read that what you are saying is too personal than being what project driven. So you should be able to actually what make sure that your communication on the project is driven by the what project success and not by personal interest. So what is the recommendation for this? At the beginning of a project or a meeting, you need to write down the most high level objectives. You must know what you want to achieve in a meeting that you are about to actually what set up. What are you achieving? It might be the agenda. It might be an open agenda. It might be, some key things that are actually with you as the project manager, as somebody that will coordinate that meeting. What must I take out of this meeting? The output of the meeting, So when the meeting is not going the right way, it will help you to know that this meeting is not going the right way. Because you already have, what needed to be achieved for the what sake of the what project what success in the course of that what meeting. So when you host a meeting and probably conflict actually what breaks out, I would say there is conflicting feedback on a project that is getting out of hand. So what you need to do is to go through what your high level objectives, and you ask yourself this question: is this really helping us reach our goals? So if the drama and everything that is going on is not really helping the project to actually what reach its goal, okay, if it will actually give you setback, then as a project manager, you'll be able to actually what know the right action to quickly in order for you to achieve the purpose of that meeting. What happens when there is no trust? Okay, what happens when there is no trust? There is never any communication that can be effective when there is no trust in what you're actually communicating. And this is where you must actually take note that as a project manager, I said it earlier, let me say it again, there shouldn't be surprises. Many people believe that what is wrong is for them to actually what? Under-deliver. Okay? You know what it means? When you over-promise and you now what? Under-deliver. Many people think that this is the one that is actually what? Wrong. So a project manager, you should not over-promise the stakeholders so that you don't under-deliver. Because once you try this once, twice, then they begin to lose trust in whatever you give as report. Your yes should be your yes, and your no should be your no. I don't think so. Maybe the moderator will help. I don't have the memory of. Maybe we've ever, set up a training and then maybe we postpone it. I can't remember. And sometimes we have had, some challenges, some technical challenges, perhaps some availability challenges, like the one that happened. There was a training that we're supposed to begin the training, and I was still, I was to return from a particular journey on that particular day, and I was driving down, and the time of the training has actually what really approached it. It was very, very close for us to start the training, and everything was still being done in order to, to achieve the purpose of the training. I'd experienced before where I couldn't get to the office, okay, and then I had to park my car at a safe place, put on the AC, and had my training done, just to be able to meet up and deliver the values at the right time. Because people have, they have values attached to their time. You don't waste people's time. There are people that might have made conscious effort in setting out time that training will happen this week. Just imagine we come up and we say, oh, this week is not possible again, and then it's being postponed. In fact, some people might actually lose interest because of that. Although sometimes you may not, if you have those, people, you should be able to communicate in a way that people will understand that it is really beyond you. But it must be something that is not frequent. If it happens from us, now people will say, oh, it's unlike them. Oh, it must have really been tough for them to actually move this training. It's unlike this company. But if it has become your habit, that's what we are talking about here. People will lose interest. Imagine the physical training, people have taken, people have taken permission from their place of work and getting, to the day of the training or a day before the training, you said that you have cancelled the training. And they have told their supervisors, they have taken permission. What do you want them to do? So they have waited. Some of them may not even have the guts to return to work because they won't believe them next time. So they will just waste those time, and the actual time when you now say the training is coming up, they don't have the time again because they can't take permission twice. So you should not overpromise and underdeliver. Now, the other way that people think that is positive, you should not underpromise also. People think that this is good for you to underpromise and you now overdeliver, that they will give you a round of applause. There are many people that also do not like this. They don't like surprises. If you tell me that you are going to actually bring 2, and we have agreed on 2, if you bring 3, thinking that you are expecting applause, there are some people that will still lambast you. Then why do you have to bring 3? That I've only created room for 2. You told me you will bring 2, and I've only created space for 2. Why would you have to bring 3? For you, you think that you have gone out of your way to surprise the person, but you will be lambasted. So as a project manager, the beauty of your project is for you to say, I will deliver on Thursday, and then you work so much that that Thursday you deliver it. There are some people that they are not mentally prepared to have your report on Tuesday that you have delivered. They are not mentally prepared. There are some people that will say, wow, you really? Yes. But don't forget that there are few people that will still frown at it that, oh, I'm not mentally prepared for me to listen to you right now. Maybe let's do it on that same Thursday that you said you will deliver before. And then you say, okay, yes, sir. Thursday. So it's very important. So when you bring that, there may be loss of trust. How do you keep your team communication streamlined? Because that's what we have been discussing. You need to streamline what? Your communication. You need to streamline it. Streamlining means that what? Oh, you really have it structured. How will it be? What's the mode of this communication? You have it planned like that in a way that it will be under control. The first thing is that what? You must make roles explicitly clear. The roles that everybody is playing in the course of the project must be clear. Never assume that what? People know what their responsibility is. No. In fact, in most cases, it is very important that you address this via meeting. If it's possible for you to call the person into your office, you call the person into your office. If it's possible for you to get it written, then you get it written, which is even most advisable. Let it be written that this is your duty. People must know their role. When they know their role, when you have the particular person that must, if you say this particular team must give me a report, you must choose the person that will be responsible. Be the leader. You are the one that will be giving me a report. Let it be. You can't expect a report from what? Everyone. Somebody must take what? Responsibility. Sometimes, you may have people who are novice to some terminologies on the project. It is good for you to create what? A company glossary, especially some terminologies that we use in project management. And then that's why sometimes I criticize a lot the style of delivery of some project managers, or let me say, even some professional trainers. People that you are communicating to, have you really considered them that you may have first timer in project management? There is a way I could get you off key in tonight's training. Maybe I begin to mention some terminologies and I refuse to break them down. And perhaps we have some people here who are even joining the project management training for the first time. You are mentioning terminologies like WBS, and instead of me to say project manager, I'm mentioning PM. Okay, I'm mentioning, a lot of terminologies. Instead of me to say project scope management, I'm saying PSM, project cost management, I'm saying PCM. In the case of PCM, in the case of PSM, a lot of people will be lost. So you can create glossary that will, of difficult terms or difficult words for your project team. So that when you are using those terminologies, they have that glossary you have given them for them to actually get themselves familiarized with. So when you're having some meetings and you're using those terminologies, they understand what you are saying. It is to help your communication to be clear. You don't communicate to people with the way they will not understand. If you have a stakeholder who does not actually speak, the same official language with you, okay, maybe your own official language is their own secondary language. For example, an Indian man. So you should cut down your grammar in a way that the person will understand, simple words. I've worked with Indians before. If you think that you want to speak core grammar and everything, you are just going to look like a fool. You won't be able to pass your information correctly. So you study them to the extent that, it was when I was working with them, I know that, for you to just make a gesture with your head, gesticulate with your head, either to say yes or no, is the opposite of the way we do it as Nigerians. As Nigerians, if you want to say yes, you shake your head sideways, left and right. You shake your head up and down. You shake it up and down. When you shake your head up and down, as a Nigerian, it means yes. To Indians, it means no. And we had a lot of issues, many of us. An Indian man will be talking to you. You wanted to say yes, and then you are nodding. You wanted to say yes, and then you are nodding your head up and down. To him, you are saying no. So we found out that they will still be telling us, you don't understand, you don't understand. You'll be wondering, but I've told this man yes. Why is he still explaining? Until many of us now discover that, we saw them when they are talking to themselves. We now see that when they are agreeing with themselves, the one that you are using to say no, that's nodding your head sideways, left and right. That is their own yes. They will just nod it like 2 times. Yes, now, yes, now, yes, now. That's their own yes. So many of us, we became Indian to the extent that when I left the company, it took me, there are so many things that took me a while before I could get back to the normal me as a Nigerian. For me to now not have problem with people at home now, so that I will not be nodding my head, sideways for me to tell them what? Yes. So this is what we are talking about. So you must bring out those terminologies and help them to understand it. Assign a point person. Let people, take responsibility. Okay? Let people take what? Responsibility. Communication can be unwitty if requests aren't directed to a point person in charge of distributing what? Responsibility. Okay? Let that be point person. Somebody, that if the information gets to him, he can actually what? Disburse it. Okay? A lot of people, okay, can actually what? Get what? This information. You can have a supervisor. So you want to point downward. You want to send downward some information to his member. So you can channel the information. The supervisor will become what? The point person. You channel the information to him, and then through him is to disburse what? Information. So you can hold him responsible for others to actually what? Understand or get the information. Things should be put in writing so that what? There will not be what? Some denial of what you have said or what you have agreed on. So you should put things in writing. I've explained that. Use some confirming phrases. It is very important. This is where we talk about what? Summary. Okay, for example, you can say, to recap what you said. These are some phrases you can use. The person is done talking, just say, to recap what you have said, we should manage our time well. Is that what you mean? The person said yes. You have already gotten the information just in one line. What I just heard, maybe somebody finished talking, and then you just say, what I just heard you talked about is that we should be careful of the way we use our PPE. Is that it? The person say yes. So you can use many of these phrases. Let me make sure I understand you. Do you mean we should, all these phrases, you can make use of them in order for you not to get confused or not to get, an information wrongly. Set rules for your communication channels. Okay? Set rules, okay? You must, if, for example, each of them must actually check their mail on a daily basis. So if that's a rule, so everybody needs to check their mail. So when you send information, they should check it, either even you have sent information or not. That is the rule. So that when you eventually send that kind of information, yes, these people will not have an excuse that they did not get it. So it is very, very important. To improve the communication of your team, to improve it, clearly define the roles within your team, we have mentioned it, creating a company glossary, assigning a point person for specific project, document, so let it be written, use confirming phrases, and setting specific rules for your communication channels. Okay, I've talked about setting goals. For example, you may quit working out of email. That sometimes that it is very, very difficult if everything is just being sent to emails. There are sometimes you will need information that you will search and search and search attachments you will not actually see. So you should actually let your communication be really accessible. They should be even if they are sending it to mail, you may have them actually downloaded and maybe arranged in your Google Drive, or downloaded and everything being arranged in a particular document. So not working out of the email, but you have a particular file that you can work from. So that's what we are talking about here. You can actually help yourself to make your email usage, okay? You can make it more effective, okay? For example, no long emails. Maybe you use subjects that are very, very short, that somebody can actually see the subject of the mail that you are sending, very catchy and straightforward. So when you see the subject, you can understand what that email actually contains. That's what we're talking about. Learn your team's preferred communication style. There are some people that they have, style that is very, in fact, I cannot overemphasize this. There are people that are terrible with social media. There are people that may not even open their WhatsApp even for days. They will just be sending information. There are some people that do not read group chat. They don't read it. When they check in, they will only check out. And you will think that the WhatsApp will show you that read by so. They have not read anything. So you should be able to, when you see that you have people like this on your team, discuss with them. What's your preferred mode of communication? Let's see if it can actually work. There are people, I have had somebody before that told me that she hates calls. That she prefers, if you want to really call her, even if you want to check up on her, that you should send message. That she doesn't like call like that. That she's allergic to it or anything like that. So you may have people like that. And there are some people that if you send messages, you are just deceiving yourself until you ring their phone. And you now call them and say, please, I just dropped you some messages. Can you please read it? That's when they will read and respond. So you should learn their preferred channel of communication. Set up a knowledge base. Let everybody understand, what is going on. Let them actually be able to be imparted. If there are some skills that they are lacking, okay, set up the knowledge base for them. Some people may not know how to actually make good use of their email. Train them on how to effectively use that. There are some members of your team that might not have used some softwares that you want to use for communication purpose before, like your Trello, Asana, and all that. You need to train them. So you must set up the knowledge base. So lastly, I'm mentioning this 5 W's of virtual communication. Most communication these days are now virtual. And some people are really terrible when it comes to what virtual communication. And that is why, a lot of information can be misconstrued when you actually undergoing what virtual meeting. So what you should note are these. You should know what information is actually essential for the project. It is the important things that you should discuss, especially when you are through virtual. When you talk too much, you may really get people tired. There are some trainers that are fantastic in the physical class. They can't do virtual training. They can't do what I'm doing right now, because every one of you right now might have slept off if they should get on a training like this, because they really want to, look at the training that we are doing. Within 2 hours, we are done and everything. There are trainers that if they actually want to handle this, even if you give them 3 days, 4 days, they are not done. Because they don't really know how to, what is important here that I need to just talk about. What is important there I need to talk about. They just want to read, the entire script that they have prepared and everything is what they want to read and go through. They may not have the information. Sometimes you may not even read. You may just use an illustration for you to explain a particular aspect. You may use diagrams. You may use illustrations so that you can actually be on point with your communication, especially when it is done virtually. You must know the right time to do this. Like many of us that are on this training, if we have said this training will be from 12 to 2, perhaps you may not even see 2 people that will actually attend. But a lot of people have retired home, so people might even be on their bed going through this training. It makes it very, very easier for them. So you should know when, okay? You should know what type of format are you actually using. We are using Google Meet, we are using YouTube channel, so that it will be very easy for people to actually access. You should know who needs the information. Who are those people that need to be present? If you put people that do not need the information, is not meant for them, the communication will not be effective, because if they don't need what you are passing across. And who is responsible to deliver the information? Everything has been actually discussed. Consider who you are talking to. Watch what you are saying. Pick your words. Be sure that you know what you are saying. Know who you are talking to. Choose where to say it. Okay? Be careful where to actually use all those words, where to say this, where to say that. Think about when you deliver your message, what time? Is it the right time? There are some people that you can call them by 10 p.m., 11 p.m. They even tell you that you are free. Call me anytime. I will pick it. You have not slept. But there are some people, if you call them by night, they will get so furious. Why are you calling me so late? So there are some stakeholders like that you cannot relate with that. You should know when, and then decide why you are saying it. If there's no reason for saying it, don't say it. If there's no genuine reason for you to make that statement, you don't need to make the statement. Take your time to filter your words, especially when you are dealing with virtual meeting. Lastly, I would like to conclude this way. Whenever you are talking or communicating online, consider your who, what, where, when, and why before you make the statement, or if you are sending it as a written statement, before you hit the enter button. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and that will be the closure of project communication management. I took a great deal of time, so Mr. Moderator, over to you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for being with us all throughout today's class. And that will be all for projects communication management. I hope you have learned a lot, and I do hope that you can apply these skills that we have actually passed across today while you manage projects. So let's have questions, feedback, comments from everyone present. So if you have feedback, or you have comments, or you have questions, just signify. So you can raise your hands if you have comments, feedback, or you just have anything to say, even if it's not a question. Mr. Kanye, Mr. Joseph, Francisco, Courage. So let's have your feedback. Olusegun and all. So do we have anybody with questions? If there is no question, let's have feedback. Feedback, just express how much of impact today's class has been to you.
Okay. Good morning, sir.
Is that Mr. Courage? Yeah, good
Mr.
morning.
College, thank you very much. Firstly, I want to appreciate the facilitator for time taking in detailed explanation of the topic, and it was so interesting because I think I learned one or two corrections in the case of my job and other things like that. Even though I was in between work and also following up, sometimes I will log out and come in, but the class was so rich and impactful. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Courage. That's a very good one from you. Mr. Joseph, are you here with us? Mr. Joseph, are you here with us? Francisco, Mr. Francisco, are you here? I can see Mr. Kehinde dropping a comment for us in the hymn message. I learned a new style of communication and it's impactful. Thank you so much, Mr. Kehinde. So I really want one more person to give us feedback before we end today's class. Mr. Francisco, are you there? Joseph, are you there? Okay. Mr. Maruf, are you there with us? Is Mr. Maruf there? Okay, so while we await you to unmute your mic if you really want to pass a comment. Okay, Mr. Maruf.
I'm here. I'm here, but it's just that I'm busy with office work now, but I'm just listening.
Okay.
So I actually appreciate the lectures, and I was able to get a lot. So though I will still go, I will still listen to it once more so that I'll be able to get all the information you pass across. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maruf. So please, like we do always encourage, uh, don't just say that you have been present for the class, you've enjoyed the live class. Don't stop there. Still try to go back to watch the recorded session when it is being dropped. By that time, you will have enough time to listen to the training, make some jottings, and things that you might have missed because of the pace and the speed of the trainer. So you may actually pick all those things. So let me bring to our reminder that uh, you should try as much as possible to follow us on all our social media channel, especially subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can always get updates. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It is very, very important. Another thing is that we encourage you to always share out the class to other people. Information is key, information is power. A lot of people really need this, but the information is not getting to them. Though we always do our best to reach out to, a large number of people, but reaching out to those people that really need this and they want this. A lot of people want training on project management, but they cannot afford it. So if they see this kind of opportunity, they will be so grateful, they will be so thankful. So always share out the class, share out the recorded video, share directly on our YouTube channel. You never can tell someone that you might be doing a very great favor. Don't also forget that the deadline is still there. We have 3 deadlines. Please, we are very strict with the deadlines for certification payments. So the first deadline is at hand, 3rd of May, and is right here. So let us try as much as possible to meet up with that deadline. We really encourage you to make good use of the first deadline because it's going to save you some cost. I can see Mr. Joseph raising up his hands. I'm going to call you. So after this announcement, so try as much as possible to meet up with that deadline. Another opportunity we have given is for you to actually go, undo your payment installments. So you can do installment payment. So we'll just have that recorded. A number of people here have tried that, and that's a very good move. And one good thing that we can assure you with that is that if you are able to beat the deadline with your installment payments, although it must not be more than two installments that you make your payment. So if you make good use of it and you beat the deadline before the first installment, so definitely you have already secured the payment for that particular installment. So no additional charges will be attached to you. So Mr. Joseph, you have something to say?
Yes, I do. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, I actually I wanted to ask these lectures now. Is it okay if I spoke to my a friend of mine about it? So is it okay if I send this to him to go through just to follow the lectures from the beginning up to when the 3 weeks is over and still get the certification
Okay, that's a very good
when
question.
because
Okay,
I
you
don't
have
know.
more to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because it's like after the promo, what was it called? This thing you guys are doing. After it, so you have to pay 171, right, for the whole course.
I think something like that. I may not remember the actual, but I know that it goes
Uh,
up and up like that.
okay, okay, all right. No, but that's why I just wanted to be sure so that I would know because he's really interested about the nature of his job, but he wants to do it offline, not after the 3 weeks. He can still do it, right?
Of course, you can still do it. Yes, it will just
Definitely.
the only thing will be the condition for the deadline that is actually meeting up. Now, let me explain this. Why
Okay,
actually
sir.
I made that announcement earlier before your clarification just come up now. We
Okay,
can
sir.
You can always share out. We have a number of people who just go on our. That is why we don't hide our training. These are our training are actually meant to be our intellectual properties, but because we believe that knowledge is key, knowledge is power, and we don't see a huge attachment to trainings that people can actually benefit from. That's why you see that when you go to our YouTube channel, all these trainings are actually made accessible. They are not being hidden on our channel. So a number of people normally go to our channel to go through trainings. So when they are done with the trainings and they satisfy the assessment performance requirements for that, of
Yeah.
course, they can actually reach out to us for the certification. The
Okay.
attestation to having gone through the training is you passing the assessment that is actually meant for that training. And
Okay.
definitely,
Okay.
the assessment is within the confine of the knowledge that has been passed across. So your
Definitely.
friend can hasten up his pace. We know the targeted audience for this training are people that are really busy, that are really working. In fact, people that might have been practicing as project managers. So these are busy people. So if you are not, that's why we are not being moved by maybe few people that are not actually on live training. The only thing is that when you are live on training, you can see the question you ask me now. When you are live on training, you have opportunity to ask questions, to get clarifications immediately. Okay, so it's very good for you to be live on training so that you see other learners. But if maybe beyond your control you couldn't
Yeah.
come up live, that is why we always share the recorded session so that at your
Okay, sir.
own leisure or when you come back
Can
from
still go
work,
through.
you can
Yeah.
still go through. Some people will even join. They might be facing network issues. There might be some lines that are not clear to them, so they can still
Yeah.
rewatch. They can rewatch and get the training. Like when we're doing a project schedule management, a lot of people
Yeah.
going through that live, it will first look somehow until you sit down and go through it again, so that you can get all the calculations, the CPM and all that,
Yes,
the
that's
threat
true. Yes,
analysis
that's
and
true.
all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
recorded session always helps. So you can send it to your friend.
There's no
It's a
problem,
very
sir. No
good one.
problem.
It's a very good one.
Thank you
Let me
very
just
much,
work
sir.
with the pace. You're welcome, Mr. Joseph. So on that
Yeah.
note, we bring today's training to a close. And then in our next class, we move to the next knowledge area. Please go on our WhatsApp to give us feedback for today's class. Please, even when you give your feedback on the live class, go on the WhatsApp page to also write your feedback. So I'm wishing every one of us a productive day, and thank you very much for joining us today. So till we meet again, I wish you a productive project management experience. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.